So day 2 of the M20 Summit is set to get underway in Johannesburg this morning. The gathering is running alongside the G20 Summit and is focused on the role of the media, the importance of reliable information and how to strengthen journalism. The discussions also unpack ways of building trust in news. For more on this, let's bring in SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo, who's live to us once again from Melrose Arch this morning. And Khayelihle, yesterday we saw a jam-packed program where we even heard from the minister speaking about the myriad challenges facing people like you and me, journalists in the country.
Well, very much so, Ayanda. It's been quite a very comprehensive program, really touching on a number of challenges, whether you're looking at areas pertaining to artificial intelligence, but also looking at the threats presented by what Minister Malatsi called as the virus of disinformation, but also looking at just the trends within the journalism sector. A very key entity here, obviously a very independent initiative led by SANEF alongside the Media Monitoring Africa and many other stakeholders, looking at South Africa's G20's priorities. For example, when you talk about solidarity, how it's really needed in the newsrooms, but also when you talk about sustainability, the future of journalism within the G20 countries and even beyond, but also looking at some other challenges like censorship, but also looking at, very critical issues like the very fact that a very free press is a cornerstone to democracy. But to really reflect on the very significance of today, we're joined here by, of course, Advocate Tlakula here with us, playing a very important role as the chair of South Africa's information regulator. So once again, advocates, let's look at this particular gathering, obviously reflecting on these very important trends, but above all, making sure that the media industry is playing a very critical role to inform South Africans and even beyond our borders.
Yes, I think what is important for us as the information regulator, as you know, we are also responsible for access to information. And our interest here is the issue of misinformation and disinformation, because as you know, everyone is entitled to reliable, accurate and credible information. And misinformation and disinformation disrupts that. So that's what our interest is as the information regulator. The second interest that we have is also the impact of generative AI in particular on the right of access to information, but also on privacy. Because if you look at deep fakes, whoever whose image is used or voice, because image is personal information, so the person whose image is being used to spread misinformation has their privacy also affected. So these are very important discussions. Information integrity is something that the whole world is talking about. And I am pleased that the M20 is focusing on information integrity, because us as an association of African information commissions, we adopted a statement after our General Assembly last year on information integrity. And we took that up right up to the Global Association of Information Officers. We put the issue of information integrity on the global agenda, because I think that information integrity is being threatened by misinformation and disinformation.
And advocates, as you talk about the information integrity, I think there was a session yesterday that really paid so much attention into that, especially because given all these challenges that we face, and at the end of the day, it's about people's lives as well that are at stake. It's about the brands that really get tainted as well. How do we bring those checks and balances, those mechanisms in place in terms of making sure that we keep it intact, the information, and people just get exactly what's happening?
Let me tell you where the gap is. The regulation of social media platforms, it's a big issue. And the issue here is access to information laws globally are no longer fit for purpose, because they only apply to information held by public bodies. Yet, social media platforms, which are private bodies, hold a lot of information. And the issue is, what mechanisms do we put in place to ensure transparency and accountability by these social media platforms? And that's a very sensitive topic, as you know, because once you talk about regulation, then everybody, gets very frightened that media regulation, has gone very wrong all over the world. So we have to just put our heads together to say, how do we hold social media platforms accountable? What is it that they are doing themselves to ensure information integrity on their platforms? And these are debates that we have to confront. Other countries have tried to regulate, for instance, the use of AI. If you look at the European Union, if you look at Brazil as well, they have a draft bill on AI. South Africa were left behind. There was an attempt last year to have a policy on AI, but it was then, stopped. So this is the world in which we are, working in as the information regulator. Big challenges that were not envisaged in 2002 when the Access to Information Act was adopted.
Before we let you go, Advocate, one of the very fascinating subject matter that I saw, it has to do with cyber misogyny, how female journalists are attacked through bots, the trolls. How can we just get to the bottom of that? And I understand the complexities around this issue.
It's very complex because a bot, who are you going to, the source of that? It's going to be difficult. That is why we have to look at digital platforms to say, what policies do you have to curb this kind of thing? Because otherwise we're going to be chasing ghosts if you are going to try and get a bot and its origin. So that is why it's important to look at social media platforms to say, tell us, what is it that you can do to deal with all these complex things that advancement of technology have brought to our fore.
All right, Advocate, we're going to release you, Ayanda. The session is about to start, and it's a very key session, Ayanda. It's about the journalist under attack. You look at the current situation, a very, very horrendous situation in Gaza, where so many journalists have been killed, but in other conflicts as well, right in our backyard in the Eastern DRC, where reporters really, they've paid a supreme price. So we'll certainly be positioned here throughout the day and give you blow-by-blow account. So with that, back to you, Ayanda, in studio.
Yeah, we certainly look forward to those insights, especially where you consider that we've heard recently that more journalists have died in Gaza than in any other conflict in history. So it's certainly an important session to watch out for. Khayelihle Khumalo, thanks very much indeed. Live to us there from Melrose Arch in Johannesburg.